All right, what's up, everybody? My name is Juwan Rohan. This is the Misguided Podcast, where we intend to guide you to a better future. I'm sitting here with Josh Foster. Go ahead, bro. You can say something.
How you doing, y'all? This is Josh. Nice to be here. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So Josh, you currently live in LA, right?
Yep. Yeah,
Cool,
out here in
cool.
Los Angeles.
Where are you originally from?
I'm originally from the Philadelphia area, so
Ooh,
my
East
family and
Coast.
all them from Philadelphia. I I moved across the bridge to Jersey, like 15 minutes across the bridge from Philly, and that's where I went to school, like middle school and high school and things like that. But yeah, Philly area through and through.
Philly. Meek Mill all day, huh?
Yup.
Yeah.
For better or for
Nice.
worse, man.
Man, he working on something new. Yeah,
He
for
is.
better or for
Yeah.
worse. That's funny. That's cool. That's cool. So from Philly, how the hell did you get to LA? Let's talk about that
Um,
process.
Yeah, it's funny. It's just been an interesting journey out to LA. I mean, being from the East Coast, never really thought about the West Coast too much. I mean, I feel like usually meet one or two East Coasters. It's like one that's like, as soon as I can, I'm gonna get out west. I want to get out of East Coast. So the other
Yeah.
person's like, I forgot the West Coast even really exists,
Yeah,
and
yeah. No, that's
that was
true.
kind of like me. And
Yeah.
then, but I went to school in undergrad out in New York. So I was in New York for a few years, and then when I finished up out there, I was looking to go to grad school. So I started applying to some places, and I had some people that were from LA that I had met. So I was like, let me apply to some schools out there. And as I got closer, probably about like a little less than a year before I was making a decision, I came out west for the first time. It was like my first time west of the state of Ohio, and so that was real
Jesus.
interesting. And so I visited San Diego and Los Angeles, and I was like, I could definitely see myself here for a few
You
years.
went to San Diego first? Yeah, you definitely fell in love with the West
Yeah,
Coast. Okay.
it's funny. It was like I was like, all right, let me, because I had a friend in San Diego, so I was like, let me fly up there, and then they
Yeah.
said they would drive me up to LA like a
Yeah.
few days after, and I just spend the rest of the time up there.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's kind of how that happened. But it's funny in between, it's always a really random stop. But in between the summer when I moved from New York to LA, I spent the entire summer, probably about 4 months or so, living in Montana, and that was like
Oh,
really
Jesus.
interesting. Yeah, I
You live
at
why?
before that
Why?
point, yeah, before
Why?
that point, I couldn't even tell you where Montana was on the map,
Yeah.
and so that was real interesting. And so, so I actually went out there, and I'm sure we'll get into it a little bit later. But my my main industry is the architectural field, and so
Mm,
I went out there. There's a guy I know in New York. He runs this entrepreneurship program, and me and him knew each other. We had met like probably a year or so before, and they had usually done this like apprenticeship fellow thing where basically they teach a virtual entrepreneurship course to people thinking about getting to the world of entrepreneurship and match them up with
mhm.
some businesses that they already have in their pipeline to kind of learn behind them. Well, when you think about entrepreneurship, you don't really think about architecture too much, and that kind of came out of the blue. He was like, "This is real random." We hadn't talked in months. He was like, "But we actually have a nonprofit architecture firm that's run like a startup, and
Yeah.
they're out in Montana. They're really looking for somebody. I know you're about to move, but would you mind making that stop in the middle of
Yeah.
the summer to do that?"
That's
I was
hilarious.
like, "Okay."
I mean,
And
I
then
feel like
so
that's
I
the
spent some
perfect
time.
spot.
Yeah,
They're like, because
yeah,
Montana, they're like very focused on the outdoor, and you can kind of learn, how to
exactly.
like architect. I don't know. We'll get more into it. I
Yeah,
don't really know that much about the industry, but I'm super excited to learn. I
yeah,
heard you said you went to or not grad school, goddamn undergrad in New
yeah,
York, right? You went to Columbia, I think. I
yeah.
saw. Cool, cool. Did you play any sports or anything?
Yeah, I actually played full football there. So full
Oh
football
shit, nice.
was always was and always will be to a certain extent my first love.
Okay.
I played football all the time growing up. It's funny. It's one of those things where I was actually better at track, and my mom would have loved it if I just did track, so I wasn't getting hit.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
football, it was just always something about football that kind of drew me in, and being Jamaican, my mom's whole side of the family is Jamaican. Like track was just in our blood. But I
yeah.
was like, nah,
Facts.
man,
Yeah.
I just like that physicality. But
That's
so
cool.
yeah, so I was definitely blessed to get our opportunity to keep playing after high school. So played at Columbia University, and it was a win-win situation for me because I mean it got to a certain point where you kind of start knowing where your limits peak, and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna make it to the league. So Columbia
Yeah.
University ended up being a really good opportunity for me because it also set me up pretty well to go deeper into my academics because my second
Yeah.
love was always art architecture, and so we were able to um, learn a decent amount there. Those of us that were in on the program, that kind of was
Super
a good
dope.
setup for me.
What position were you?
I started off as a safety. I ended up switching over to receiver, but
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
say
Okay.
safety is my day one there. I just like hitting people.
Yeah, you switched whole sides. You went from safety to receiver. Damn.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. I don't really watch too much football. It's like, yeah, football's not really my thing. I'm more basketball. So I play
Yeah,
college
I love
basketball.
ball.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny though, because I actually had my assistant coach at my college. He ended up going to Columbia and being assistant
Okay.
coach there. Yeah, so that's hilarious. When did you graduate?
16.
Oh yeah, same here, bro. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Oh, that's super cool. What I want to get into kind of that transition from the East Coast to the Midwest to the West Coast. So when you got to Montana, like how was it? Like obviously a culture shock. But, but how'd you deal
Yeah.
with everything? How'd you deal with that?
Man, that was really interesting for sure. It's funny. I ended up not even planned out, but I ended up starting this like Snapchat, like, because this was like right before I don't even know if it was before Instagram stories happened or I just wasn't into
Uh-huh.
Instagram stories yet. But
Yeah.
I did this little Snapchat story series called Black in Montana, because like I had looked it up. I had like, looked it up, and it was like literally like Montana's like 9% black people at
Uh-huh.
that time, and in the city that I was in Lakeside, pretty much me coming there doubled the population of black people that lived in that city. So there was like
Oh my
one or two
God.
people max there. So that in and of
Jesus.
itself, beside being like a city boy, so the mountains and all that type of stuff itself was about to be a culture shock. But then also just I knew I wasn't going to see another black person. So
Yeah.
that also meant like 4 or 5 months without getting my hair cut. So one of the first stops I made out there was to like the Walmart. I found some clippers and I just
Yeah.
cut my hair the whole summer.
Yeah.
It ain't look nice, but it was better than whatever.
Yeah.
And then it's like, and then plus it's just one of those things too. I mean, I'm not around any black people, so there wasn't nobody clowning me on my messed up hairline. So
White
like,
people
right,
never mention the hairline.
exactly,
uh,
exactly. But yeah, so it was definitely a big shock. It was a really good one though. It's funny. I was going through a transition, like of course, just moving to another side of the country, which was different, and I have like zero family out past Ohio. And
okay.
so it's like I was just going to be away from everybody. And it was kind of one of those things, funny, like big decisions in my life I've kind of just made off prayer and off the gut. It's like
Yeah.
it wasn't always much planning. It's always like, okay, this our opportunity popped up. Let me pray about it. And then at that point, it's like, all right, let's just do it or not. And
Yeah.
so it was one of those things where that's kind of how it was for me with grad school too. I mean, just the decision to come out here for all of that. And so going to Montana, like you said, it was definitely a big culture shock, but it was good. I was surrounded by some really genuinely good people,
Uh-huh.
and that helped out a lot. The cost of living is like insanely low out there. I paid probably about like $500 of rent for like an entire
The
summer
whole
total,
summer. Yeah.
and which was awesome because I pretty much pocketed everything I made that summer, and that's how I bought my first car when I moved out here.
Yeah.
Like I literally got off of the airplane at LAX, got a cab to the CarMax that's right by LAX, and bought the car.
About the car. That's
Yeah,
sick.
because at that point I was like, as far as I knew, LA, you had to drive. Like you couldn't do nothing without driving. I knew nothing about LA in general, so I was like, I have to get one, or I'm just gonna be stranded because I don't got no family out here. So
Yeah.
it's like I
Right.
gotta do it. But
Now you probably realize you don't even need a car out there.
exactly, exactly.
Learn that after the fact. You're like, damn, I
Yep.
hate driving out here. Fuck.
Right.
Yeah. But that's cool, man. Shit. So, did you always know that you wanted to go to grad school? Like you knew that's something you know,
Yeah.
how'd that come about?
It's funny. It's like I've never actually really liked school.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's always such a weird thing for people, even in the industry I'm in right now, to like hear, because like to be an architect, it's a lot of schooling. The
Yeah.
minimum to be able to get licensed is 5 years of schooling.
Yeah.
And I went the longer route, which was 7, because this is the route I ended up taking. So it's like, that's a lot of schooling. And I've always been good at school. I guess I think my strength was always the finesse game, just the talking game, being able to just being able to say what I needed to say in presentations and do
Yeah.
all of that type of stuff. And so, but yeah, if you had told me like when I was coming out of high school that I would be going to go to more school by my own like accord without anybody forcing me to do it, I'd have been like, nah, you're crazy.
You would have been like, "Nah,
But
I'm going to the NFL." What are you talking about?
exactly.
Yeah, yeah, it's the same way, bro.
Exactly.
I
And
feel
so
it.
it was like, dang. But it's like one of those things where it worked out in the sense where I don't know exactly what direction I would have went. Like grad school gave me a time to, people always say, I mean, it sounds cliche, but to really like learn who I am and what I want to do. Because I felt like in undergrad, I feel like you can probably really get what I'm saying on this. Like when you play a sport, that's your identity. And so for me, it was like my identity was football and it was my studies. And of course, I like had a great time. I mean, I was social, did all that type of stuff, so that was good too. But it was like I didn't think much about like what the next 40 years of my life was going to look like to a like real deep extent. I mean, I always knew what I wanted to do, the goals I had and things like that, but I didn't really have much time to like kind of see who I was outside of football. And so grad school gave me a really good space to be able to do that, because now I'm going somewhere and now I'm getting a education without having to wake up at 4:30 in the morning to work out and then have practice and then
Yeah.
squeeze in like school and all type of stuff
Cool,
later
yeah.
on in the day. And so that was like it was really helpful for me in that sense. I mean, this is a whole nother conversation, but I think for the most part, school at the college level is a big scam in terms of how much they charge you. But I think what you actually learn
Oh,
there
yeah.
is invaluable. And
I think
so
it's what you learn outside of the classroom, bro. Like
exactly.
I say for me, college was one of the best times of my life, but not
Yeah.
because I went to college. It was because, well, I went to Colorado. So imagine going from Oakland to Colorado, and you're like,
Yeah.
that's a huge culture shock. I was 1% black. So I just feel like I learned everything about life there, but
Yeah.
outside of the
Yeah.
classroom. And I think that's kind of what you're like attesting to.
Exactly.
It's like,
Exactly.
yeah, it is. College is a huge scam. The tuition, all that bullshit, that shit is way overpriced.
Yeah.
But I think it's very important for people to, if you're not going to go to college, I think it's important for you to at least go somewhere and get the
Yeah.
fuck out of your city. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I think
Like,
that's the biggest part.
yeah, we get a lot of black people get stuck in, I'm never leaving, or if you leave, you changed,
Yeah, exactly. Like
and
you sell out or something like that.
yeah, and so I think it's extremely important for us to kind of teach the next generation, whatever, what is it, Generation Z, X, I don't know, to teach them kind of what's next and how to deal with that. And yeah, because I remember our brother, I hated like coming home in the summers and everyone kind of like looking at you differently,
Yep.
like like oh, he's big shot now, he plays college basketball, like,
Yep.
or like oh, you only here for 2 months, so like what's the point of even hanging out, you feel me?
To be honest, I only really ended up coming home for like Thanksgiving and Christmas for that exact reason.
Bro,
It's
I
like,
couldn't even come home
I'm gonna
because
come
that
home
was
for
our
the.
that was
Oh
our
yeah,
season.
exactly. Yeah. The summer, I was like, I was just up there the whole summer working
Yeah.
out, and it's like, nah, I'm gonna just stay up here.
Mm-hmm. Facts. But I'm sure you made like your best connections, bro. We always talking about it, but college was huge for the networking game,
Oh yeah,
right?
big time.
So besides your brother, you got your brotherhood. You probably got your best friends from on the line. You probably
Yeah,
got some, yeah. But then also like the networking with the teachers, the networking with shit. I was like very good friends with the dean of students,
yeah,
like you know what I mean, who can get me jobs, who was writing me fucking reference letters before I even graduated. So
exactly.
yeah, I think it's super important to network. But yeah, facts. That's a good point by you. So we covered Montana. All right, so you get to LA, fresh off the airport, you get that car, and then you start grad school. And I think you said you did 3 years of grad school, or I was just doing
Yeah.
the math in my head, but yeah,
Yeah, 3
3
years.
years.
Yep.
Okay, cool. 3 years. How was that 3 years? How difficult was it from like, yeah, just explain that. Explain that process.
Yeah, and it's like one of those things where grad school was actually a lot easier for me academically than it was for like undergrad. One,
Because you had
honestly, I
all
just think
that
I had way
time.
more time to focus. Like
Bro,
it's
I
like
be
I had a
telling.
whole
Yeah.
life out after school that I
Yeah.
still was able to get stuff done
Yeah.
and still like be on my grind and all type of stuff. I was like, yo, this is 10 times easier. And
Uh,
like nobody would understand why I said that, and they all always just thought I was just BSing. But it's like, nah, like literally, it was so much easier because I actually had time to focus on stuff
yeah.
outside of sports.
I be
And
telling
so,
all
yeah,
non-athletes, like, you have no idea how easy it is for you, like, or how much time you have. Like,
yeah, the
no
time
wonder
is a huge
the
thing. Yep.
time is huge. I'm like, bro, you ain't gotta wake up in the snow, get to practice by 6, and then go to conditioning after, like,
Yeah.
and then still have to like muster up the energy to fucking study. I
Yeah.
was falling asleep, like looking at the
Man,
computer. I'm like,
it wasn't no games for sure.
yeah,
And I mean, and yeah, in undergrad, I definitely struggled. Like my first 2 years, just academically and like being able to like mesh with everything that was going on. I mean, went to an institution where there were like a lot of people that came from really rich backgrounds that went to really good school.
yeah, oh yeah, true,
I went to a public school, and it's funny. Like my parents moved us to the city where I went to school in because the public school system was better than
yep,
where it would have been in Philly where we were, or where they first moved to Jersey where that was too. And it's like, so I thought I was getting good at education, but then come to find out when I get to school, it's like even that was like way below par
yep,
than what a lot of other people were getting. Like for a quick example, like I took AP calculus in high school. Granted, the AP calculus teacher was also my track coach, so we was cool in general. But it was
uh-huh,
like I did the work, did everything. I thought it was cool, so I actually took that class my freshman year at Columbia. I was like, okay, this should be chill. I literally just took this class. It was a college level course, so this would be like an easy way for me to get my math requirement out.
okay.
Yo, when I say I failed it, it wasn't like, oh, I like got I like a C, and I like straight up failed the class and had to
Yeah,
take it over again like my senior year. And it's like, it's not like I wasn't trying. I'm not the type of person that just won't hand stuff in or won't show up to class. Like I'm the type of person, if I'm supposed to be somewhere, I'm gonna definitely be there.
yeah,
I just could not get it. Granted, I'm not good at asking for help, so I didn't
yeah,
ask for a tutor. And when we had opportunities to get tutors from the athletic department and stuff, I didn't. So that's definitely on me. And the second time around, I made sure I did. But it was like, that's wild. That's
yeah,
the first time I really noticed the education gap in a lot of the places. Like you could take supposedly the same exact class that someone else is taking at a private school or even at a public school in a city that's just more wealthy, and you're not learning the same thing.
yeah,
And so that's like what really hit me hard when I was in on undergrad. So when it came time around for grad school, it's like, one, I'm gonna make sure that I put my focus into what I'm doing here, because now that I'm paying to go to school, like for undergrad, thankfully I didn't come out with any debt. But for grad school, it's like I'm not on a sports scholarship, and I had a
mhm,
decent amount of academic scholarships, but it was still a decent amount of money I had to come
yep,
out of pocket and with financial aid. So I was like, now that this is gonna actually be burning a hole in my pocket, I'm not gonna like fail a class. I'm gonna
yeah,
make sure that I do what I gotta do, and I did really well academically, but it was definitely different. I think the good thing about having all that time and knowing, going into the mindset that I'm gonna learn the most in grad school by the people that I'm around, by the people that I network with, and like the professional connections that I'm making. Um, I think that was a really good way that I was able to approach it, because I got my stuff done, but I wasn't in the game of, okay, I'm gonna get my work done. Now I'm gonna kiss my professor's butt so that they can give me extra credit, all type of stuff.
yeah,
Because at this point, nobody cares about your grades once you get out of grad school. They want to make sure you graduated, you got your professional degree, and you're moving on into the work world. So I'm gonna do what I have to do and then I'm gonna go bounce to a networking session, even if it's across town with people that I know or just people that I need to be in the same room with and do different things like that. And so that's like really where I spent a lot of my time in grad school. And that alongside with going to every single USC full football game while I was there for 3 years, I had season tickets.
Uh-huh.
I can't tell you how fun it was to finally be a fan and just
Uh-huh.
go to games and like drink and turn up with my friends and like
Yeah,
tailgate
and
and all that type of
yeah,
stuff. I
yeah,
was like,
yeah.
yo, this is nice.
That's nice. Yeah, that's
But
dope.
yeah,
I feel it. Let's talk. I want to talk about the growth from the undergrad to the grad school. You mentioned that you never really asked for help in grad school in that AP Calc class.
yeah.
Did you kind of, when you got to grad school, kind of put your ego in check, and if you needed help, you went out and asked your professors, or networking is a huge part.
Yeah.
So did you handle that?
Yeah, definitely. And honestly, I think where I really learned that a lot was in
Mm-hmm.
Montana, ironically enough.
Oh
It was
shit.
one of those things where I'm the type of person, I'm not afraid of heights, but I'm
Uh-huh.
afraid of uncontrolled heights. So
Mm.
I could be at the top of a 200-story building, standing right at the edge of the
Yeah.
window looking, be perfectly fine because I know this glass, and maybe it's just the nature of my business. I know how much work they put in to make sure this glass and this structure is not going to fall over, so I'm
Yeah.
good. But I could be on the top of a mountain that's half that height and be freaking out because there ain't nothing between
They're in
me
the
and falling.
yeah.
And so we did a lot of hiking. Like Montana is such a beautiful place. Like
Yeah, I
like
heard great things.
one day I would love to just to own a cabin out by the lake out there
Yeah.
and just go there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's such a beautiful place. So there's a lot of outdoors things to do. And during the summer, the the um the sun doesn't really set till like 11 p.m. It's crazy. They call it
Shit.
big. They call it like big sky kind of country, and it's like the sky is vast and all type of stuff. So basically, you leave work. We're done work at like 5 or 6. You still got another like
A day.
five
You
hours
still have a
of day left.
day.
Exactly. So we would just go on hikes. We went camping,
uh,
all this type of stuff I never did before. I went rock climbing, like real rock climbing, all this type of stuff. And so it's like it was cool, but I had got put into a situation one of the weekends. We like went up. We were hiking and stuff, and it's called the Highline Trail, and it's like 6 feet of land between you and death. Pretty much is the way
oh
I saw
Jesus.
it. And then like I'm freaking up there. Everybody knew I was freaking out, so they thought it was funny to put the GoPro on me. So like you watch back the videos, just like shaking and
Yeah.
stuff. But like so I'm like freaking out, and I don't even know how to really explain. There was a few moments that were crazy. Like one, there was like a mountain goat running up at us, and we had to like jump out the way. Thankfully, we all jumped to the right side and not jumped and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But there was moments when I was up there where I had to really just like trust that I was gonna be okay. Trust that God was gonna get me to the end of this hike, and that
Uh-huh.
like, everything was gonna happen. But like really, it just allowed me just to be able to be out of control for once, because I knew nothing about how to camp or the trails
Mhm.
I was supposed to do. Like I'm the type of person, I love to plan things out. I love to organize, and frankly, I like to be in control of what I'm doing day to day. And
Yep.
I wasn't in control of
Yeah. Yeah.
anything I did that entire summer. I just woke up. What construction thing you got me doing today? All right, we doing this. And they're like, okay, we're about to go out and do some hike. Okay, I have no idea where I'm going. I'm not even asking questions. I'm just going with them. And it's
Mhm.
like I just really learned to trust people and like take guidance. And
Mm.
that was huge for me as I was coming into grad school. It allowed me to be able to take guidance and trust people that had a better a better, I guess, grasp on
Knowledge. Yeah.
knowledge of what I was trying to do, that path specifically that I was trying to go on. And
Facts.
then also just to just be able to trust God and just be like, yo, I know that as long as I'm going in the path I'm supposed to be going, like you're going to get me through these things. And so,
Facts.
yeah. So, I mean, I think that was like the biggest time that taught me how to be able to ask for help. And so once I got in the grad school, I was like, this is what I got to do to make sure I'm
Facts.
getting to the level I want to be.
Again, so helping the growth right there, helping you grow into, a man is experience. All goes down to experience. Experience is something you've never experienced before. Taking the risk of you going out and jumping into that uncertainty, because like you said, you don't like being at the top of something. You don't know how it's built, or you know what I mean? So it's just that uncertainty, that conquering that fear of that what if kind of.
Yeah.
That's dope. That's dope. Well, I kind of want to switch a little gears and get into. So we know you're an architect, right? That's your 9 to 5 or at whatever time, but you're 9 to 5.
Yeah.
But you're also a CEO, and you're also a in the board of another company. So I want to talk about these two companies. We have Mint Inc., which you're CEO of, and then SoCal Noma. So if you want to start off with Mint Inc., what is it? Tell us how you found it, and yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So man, it's crazy to think. Well, it's 2020 right now. So yeah, it's been almost exactly 2 years since my co-founder Sharon Pearson and I founded Mint Inc. And so basically, Mint actually stands for Minority Interdisciplinary Networking Team.
Okay.
But basically, what it boils down to, it's a platform that's empowering a community of young professionals and entrepreneurs of color. So we were actually talking back in 2018, I was kind of bringing it up to my co-founder, just the idea and fact that like there's never really a space where I could say a lot of people of color just get together that are from completely different industries, completely different walks of life, and just are together and just collaborate, just kind of share their ideas. And it's kind of like really what we were just talking about, being able to ask for help with things we just don't know how to do. And so like if I'm good at design and you have a manufacturer, like why don't we collab together and we have a clothing company, or why don't we start doing things like that? And I think a lot of it is we just aren't in that same room together. And so it originally started off with the idea, we were talking like it would be really dope if we could put together a conference. At that time, ironically, it was down in Long Beach area. We were like, yo, wouldn't it be cool if we could like just pack out the Long Beach Convention Center and do a conference with just a lot of Black and brown people together across industries, and we just have a conference, just talking to people, panels and things like that to collaborate. And so that was the original, very first idea of Mint. We like went through the next few weeks coming up with the name, things like that. My co-founder, she's in tech, so she's the person that designed our website, do different things like that, and so we like made all those things. I like made it the logo. And then as we're getting started to like officially kind of like plan the conference, we're like, okay, who's going to come to this and why would they come to it? They don't know who we are. They don't know what we do. They never heard of Mint. Mint just came up like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
how is this going to work? So we started to backtrack and let's go the opposite way. Let's create a community first. Let's create this space where people already are starting to collaborate, create that atmosphere, and then hopefully later on we can get into a conference setting and do things like that. And then so the first way we decided to create that community is by creating a bi-monthly digital magazine, which is crazy to think about. November is going to be our 11th issue. And
Okay.
so basically that magazine is to share the stories and highlight different young professionals and entrepreneurs of color, just to share their story, their journey, what they're doing, what it is that their businesses are, even if they're working corporate, what they do in the corporate world, like how they got through that pathway and things like that. And just basically just be able to share, create that community so people can start seeing the different, like just dope things that we're doing as a people. And so that basically just started off. We just reached out to our connections. It was definitely like we were saying before, college was a really good time of connection, being able to connect with people. And I think like 90% of the issues we've done so far has been from people we knew either from college or knew of because of somebody we knew from college. And so like,
did y'all go to the same undergrad?
Yeah, ironically enough, we were both there at the same time, but we didn't meet each other until out here in Los Angeles.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Jesus.
She was 2 years ahead of me, but it's crazy. We had the same exact friend group. It's wild to think about. But
maybe y'all met like on a drunk night, and
but it's funny. We actually met at a alumni event out here.
Oh, that's so funny. That's cool, man.
Yeah, so like that. So it was kind of dope how those things just align. And so the first cover feature we actually had was one of my old teammates. His name is Josh Martin. He's on his like 7th year in the NFL right now. So at that time he was playing for the Jets, and so like it was dope. So it was one of those things where we like started to create that platform, and we're the type of people, we when we put out something, we want to make sure it looks graphically good. Like we both come
Facts.
from a
Nah, I was
graphics
gonna
type
actually
background.
comment on that. I like your Instagram, how it's laid out, kind of like
Thank you.
you could tell you take time in like each picture. You feel me? What
Thank
you
you.
want to
Yeah.
say and stuff. So yeah,
Thank you. Yeah. So
but
that's definitely what
professionalism,
we
bro.
wanted to do.
We gotta hold ourselves to a higher standard, bro.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. So that's like kind of how we got started, was with that magazine. And it's funny, everything's been 100% bootstrapped to this point. We haven't actually made a dime from it, because the point we were just trying to create a community and things like that. But we ended up creating, to this point, a really good community. People are trusting the things that we put out, the quality of work that we've done. We made some great connections, being able to highlight people from across a lot of the different industries, whether it be art and entertainment. We have a good connection now with the co-founder and COO of Blavity. He's done a cover for us and things like that. And
super dope.
so yeah, so it's been really good, and through that time, we've been able to develop different programs. We do an entrepreneurship mentor program. We just launched this past August, which basically we have a cohort of 10 young entrepreneurs, or budding entrepreneurs, and we connect them with another other 10 entrepreneurs that's been in the world for at least 5 to 10 years or so, and then
Okay.
just kind of get them together. We run them through kind of like a program, and so that they can start to learn the entrepreneur mindset and how to start thinking in ways that we just aren't taught to do in
Facts.
school. So we do
Facts.
that, and we actually hosted our first virtual conference. It's called the Empowerment Conference this past August. So it was cool to see that come full circle, since that was the original idea. Of course, we
Okay.
never thought it would be virtual, but it ended up being really good. And so
You probably got more attendees
yeah,
because they're from the comfort of their home. You know, they don't really
exactly,
have to go anywhere. They could block their screen, whatever. But how many
exactly.
people
So
showed
yeah.
up, man? How many people supported?
Yeah, so we had about 200 or so people
God damn.
register. So that was like really
It's,
dope. Like throughout the time, because we had like a lot of different panels and things like that.
yeah.
It was spread out. We didn't have 200 people in the same room
Nah,
at the
yeah.
same time, but yeah,
Hey,
it was
congrats, man.
awesome.
For
Thank
real.
you.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Let
it.
me know when the next one is, man. I would love to attend that,
Yeah,
man.
no, for sure.
Anything.
So yeah, so that's pretty much what Mint has been, and so we're definitely like looking for ways to create more programs, and probably sometime in the near future, going into 2021, we're gonna figure out how to pivot it in a way that we can make revenue, so that we can start like being able to support more programs that we do, because technically we're in the space of a tech media startup.
Yep.
And so there's definitely a lot of opportunities if we pivot the right way to get some fun on hunting. So that's like a
For sure,
route we're
man.
looking to figure out.
Gotta come down to the Bay over here, Silicon
Yeah,
Valley. Hey,
seriously.
speaking of that though, if you ever want to come down here and network about the Mint Inc., man, I know a lot of entrepreneurs out here that would love to kind of be in a conference. Like if you
Yeah,
ever wanted to
yeah,
hold a conference down here, I'll be more than welcome to help you out and get entrepreneurs in there and
yeah. We
tickets
will
sold,
definitely
bro.
take you up on that. I love the Bay. One of my closest homies I met out here is up in Oakland now. So I probably
Okay.
but before the virus, I was probably there like at least 6-7 times a year,
Oh
just
yeah.
going up. Yeah,
Yeah, yes. Let me know, man. Always down to help, and I love like helping the community for sure. So I've been like trying. That's funny because me and Mike, the other co-host of this, we talked about doing like a conference for like young Black entrepreneurs and stuff.
yeah.
And so
We
that's
should
that's in my
definitely
field.
collaborate
Facts.
offline for sure. I'm definitely get us all in touch with each other.
Cool. Let's talk about SoCal Noma.
Yeah.
How'd you get into that? And yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead.
so SoCal Noma is a nonprofit organization. It stands for National Organization of Minority Architects. And
Okay.
so basically what it boils down to, the issue is there's not enough Black people in our architecture. I think the
Facts. I
total,
think you're the first one I met.
that's what everybody always says, and it blows my mind.
Literally.
And it's like just like us as designers that are in our architectural space, we don't really see people that look like us
Mm-mm.
on a daily basis. I think that I've only ever had one more Black person in any of the companies that I've worked at.
Oh
It's
shit.
just been me and somebody else, and usually it's just me. And
Now
it's
that I think
like
about
wild to
it,
think
same
about.
here, bro.
It's wild.
Damn.
It's wild when you really think about it. So it's like
Damn.
the percentage is like it's only 2% of the licensed architects in the country are African American, and so
Oh.
it's like it's just wild to think of. So the purpose of that is, one, so that we have a space together. There's not national conferences that thousands and thousands of people end up going through. So we're out there. We just don't get noticed. And a lot of us aren't licensed yet. And myself included, I'm going through the licensing phase, taking tests and things like that. And so we're not counted toward that percentage. But even so, even if we were all licensed, it wouldn't even be much of a big like jump in percentage.
Yeah. That's such a low percentage, man, especially because like Black people love making T-shirts and clothing brands.
Yeah,
they love designing, bro. Like, why don't you go design a building? Like, damn,
but
that's
the
crazy.
worst part about all this is a lot of the things that are happening with gentrification, I think, really boils down to that a lot, because it's people that aren't from these communities that are going into these communities and building and doing things like that. And so that's something we really push. And NOMA, so it's a national organization. There's chapters like all throughout the country. I didn't get involved in it till I got to LA, and it's been really good, because a lot of the things we focus on, we have a summer camp called Project Pipeline, and basically we start showing architecture to students that are from middle school all the way up to high school, just basically letting them know that it's available, that it's a thing to do. Because I didn't know what an architect was like my senior year of high school. And it's like at that point, a lot of the times it's too late if you don't get into the right university to do it, if you're not even on that track to go toward there, because it is a long amount of time, a decent amount of like effort you got to put into making that a real career for you. And so that's basically like what the real gist of what we do is just trying to bring awareness and also support to the designers and architects of color that are already out there, that are already doing great things. And so we put on a lot of monthly events. We do the summer camp. We have a lot of the support and scholarships and things like that. And especially during this time where all the police brutality, the murder of George Floyd, Breonna, the tail end, when everything was happening like that, the architecture industry definitely jumped on. I'm going to say bandwagon. In the beginning, that's what it felt like. They jumped on the bandwagon, like, we don't support racism, rah rah rah. I think,
well, every company did that shit.
Exactly.
Netflix, everyone.
Exactly. But I think now at this point, there has started to see a concerted effort of people actually really understanding what that means. It's not just saying that we don't support racism. It's not just saying that we need more people of color in this industry. It's actually acting on it. And it's what's been a really unique space that I've been able to find myself in throughout the summer and going into now the fall. It's crazy to think that it's the fall. But
I forgot it's October. That's crazy.
It's wild. Yeah. So it's been a unique space that pivoted off of SoCal NOMA. And so basically I've always been loud person when it comes to like who I am, my background, where I'm from, and like my companies and places I've been. I've never been the type of person to shy away. Yeah, exactly. To shy away from saying I'm Black, I'm proud, and I'm here for a reason, type of thing. And so it's definitely carved out a really unique space over this past summer. And so the SoCal NOMA and another organization, which is the biggest organization for our architects as a whole, the American Institute of Architects, their Los Angeles chapter, we formed a joint committee. It's called the JEDI Committee. It's Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. And so I'm the co-chair of that committee. And basically throughout these past few months, we've been putting on a lot of virtual town halls and virtual panels and things like that I've been fortunate to be able to moderate and be on. And that basically talks about the issues of racism and injustice and just issues that are directly related to the design community. And there are a lot that people just don't think about, and how we play a role in how our cities are built and how our communities are looked at and the opportunities that our people are getting. And so that's been where a lot of my time and energy has been going recently, to try to make these spaces like better for people of color. And a lot of it is kind of spilled over into the policy side of the thing, especially with the election coming up. Even putting aside the presidential election, that's a whole nother conversation we could have. But just the actual local government, I'm a really big believer in the power of local government if you have the right people in place. And there's a lot of ballots and measures that's coming up that directly affects California and Los Angeles. That's going to be really important to how our communities get the support that they need, whether it's be Measure J down here, which is basically kicking the budget and allocating, I think it's about 10% to to away from incarceration or away from police department and things like that, and put it toward more community events, community things like that, and just ways to be able to help restore justice and equity in our city. So there's a lot of stuff like that, and so that's kind of the
have you heard of the mayor of Stockton?
Yeah.
Stockton on my mind. Have you seen that film? I haven't seen it, but
I haven't seen it from you. I definitely wanted to. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I think you would really like him and like how he's fucking turned that city around. And I gotta watch that film. We've been trying, but it's just I think it's like on HBO, and we don't have HBO. So.
Oh, we're okay. Yeah, I definitely gotta check that. It's funny. Talking to a lot of people. They said that they wouldn't be surprised within the next 10 years if I just decided to run for mayor.
Fuck it. Hey, so move to a small town, show them that it could be done, like you feel me, and then go to a bigger town. That's damn near what this dude. This dude's fucking our age, and he's the mayor of Stockton and has like the best fucking turnaround ratio in the whole United States in the history. Like, come on.
That's really dope.
Yeah. Like, that's crazy. So I don't know. I definitely gotta check that out. It's been way too long since I've talked about it. I've talked about it on a previous episode and shit, but yeah. Speaking though of everything and all the shit that's happening, you talked about you're a huge advocate of like all the local policies and making a difference. Well, obviously, are you registered to vote?
Yes, sir.
There you go. Perfect. Everyone needs to fucking register to vote.
Yeah.
If you haven't registered, you're a racist. You're a racist, bro. Like, I don't know how else to explain it, but speaking of the current state, how are you dealing with everything, and how's your mental health through all of this? Because you know, Black people don't normally talk about mental health. We don't really seek therapists. How are you dealing with everything, dude? We just fucking last week heard that Breonna Taylor's killers were not getting prosecuted. So how are you dealing?
Well, first, I appreciate that question because just like you said, it's definitely not a question that is asked a lot in our community. Like, how's your mental health? Like, how are you actually doing?
We have to normalize it. We have to, because like I feel like sometimes when I ask the questions, like some people are like taken back, like, wait, what? How do I answer that? Like, you feel me? Like I want to normalize it. So yeah,
that's good. That's good. And yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, it's been good. It's one of those things where personally, it's been a good year for me in the sense of being able to really come into my own of the things that I am passionate about. A lot of what's been happening in this world really amplified and pushed forward me needing to start making a bigger impact. At least that's how I feel. And so it's been good in that sense. But as I'm sure you know, and I'm sure it's the case with a lot of Black and brown people right now, it's hard to be in such a happy space, even individually, when you know what's still happening every single day. And even if it's not affecting you very, very directly, just being in our own skin, it's always a chance for us to be that person that we see on TV, and these things are happening. So that in itself is definitely something that weighs on me pretty daily. And it's one of those things where I don't want to not think about it, because it's important to be able to do everything I can in my own local community to try to make sure these things don't happen. But then I also don't want to dwell on it, because then I'm just be miserable all day.
Yeah.
So
I want to touch up on that, because it's like, you know, it's super hard in today's world too, because it's like you'll go out, right? You'll go to one of your little conferences, meetings, and speak about justice, right, for Black people, equality and stuff. And then you'll come home, lay on the couch, and pull your phone up, and it's like social media, another shooting happened, or another negative thing that just kind of brought my high down. And now you're reading about it, and it's just like, fuck. So it's hard to like feel that happiness, like that self-happiness, when all this shit around you is happening. I totally agree, bro.
Because like these things like can hit so close to home. Even just the whole situation of realizing that something that's always been unconsciously in the back of my mind, like when I'm out running in a neighborhood that looks nice, like I always feel uncomfortable that someone's going to think I'm doing something crazy, or I'm doing something wild, or there's this Black guy running through this neighborhood that I know he doesn't live in. Like, why is he here? And just seeing stuff like that is like, that could have been me, like that shot, because I was just running through a neighborhood or different things like that. And subconsciously, I think about it. Every time I go out running, I always wear my Columbia gear. And so when I started really trying to dissect that, it's a subconscious feeling that hopefully if they see that I went to a good college, that I'm one of the nice black people. And it's like the fact that I even had to think about stuff like that is just wild.
Yeah.
And so it's like those are the type of things that's like always weighing in the back of your mind. And now it's something that I really try to think about more and make sure that I'm sharing these situations and sharing how I'm feeling about this with the other people, so that it can, like you say, these things should be a normalized feeling to be able to talk about you not being okay in these situations, because it's not a good feeling, frankly, to have to be afraid that just being in your own skin might get you killed, or just being in your own skin will make you thought of like, hey, you're a different person or less than. And so that's been like the things that's been going on in my mind. I would say that my mental health is in a good place.
It's in a good shape, but it
it's
needs
definitely some dark days.
Yeah. Need some tone ups. You gotta lift some weights.
Exactly.
I feel it. I've actually gone through some like stuff similar. Like, damn, that like you wearing your like Columbia stuff is out just to feel like someone would like look at you different. That's just crazy. Yeah. Bro. I've never had someone like actually say that. So thank you. But yeah, like, so I live in a nice neighborhood. I live in Benicia, which is like Vallejo. It's close to Vallejo, if you know.
Okay, yeah, I know Vallejo.
Yeah. It's just the nicer part of Vallejo. But I live in the suburbs, and like I said, I run a car rental business, so I have multiple cars. I pull up in a different car every day, and I'm sure my neighbors are looking at me like, "What the fuck is he doing?" like I've had my neighbor who I talk to like almost every day. Like when I put up in my BMW, which has been here plenty of times, he was like, "You got a new car?" I'm like, no, it's been here. He's like, "I've never seen this." I'm like, "Yeah, like it's been here, bro. Like, you remember I own a car business, right?" He's like, "Nah." I'm like, "I don't know." Like, what'd you think I do?
Yeah, right.
Like, what do you like? Oh, I'm not selling drugs, bro. Like that song from J. Cole is like so fucking prevalent. But yeah, I totally get it, bro. Thank you for answering that question, man. For real, it's crazy to look at the state of the world. So like, I'm a believer in like in you know, owning a gun in your own house. So with everything that's going on with the Proud Boys or whatever, I just want to make sure my family's protected. I do have a
I feel you.
1.5-year-old son, so I've owned a gun for about a year now, since I've grown up. But now with everything going on, I went to the gun shop the other day, you know, to look at some home protection stuff, and bro, they're sold out everywhere. Like that just the thought of that is fucking scary. Like, yo, and I'm asking them like, so like, when did shit pick up? They're like, once the pandemic hit. Right, once the pandemic hit, obviously we're sold out, and then obviously there are delayed times for making the gun because it's harder to get steel, just everything. So and there's like two months, three months wait on just like, if I were to go buy one today, I have to wait 3 months for me to get it. Like, it's just crazy because I'm asking like, who's going in and buying these guns? It's like, you got the white people going in because they think the black people are going to attack them. And you got the black people going in who's never bought guns before legally and trying to protect their families. Like when I was there the other day, I saw a young black dude about our age with his daughter. And he was like, "Man, this is my first time, like, teach me." And it was just like, it was kind of cool in a way to see that like he, he's, protecting his family, his daughter's in there.
Going
he's
about the right way.
Going about it the right way. And that's, thank you for pointing that. And it's just super, super crazy to think that, which leads me to my question. Do you think things will be worse if the dickhead loses the presidential election, re-election, or if he wins? Do you think things in the economy will be worse? Because he said he's not going out with a fight.
It's funny, since the debate, I've been thinking about that a lot. It's it's funny. Me and my girl had date nights on Tuesday nights, and that's just when the debate was. I was no fun at all. Because I had watched the debate, and then we were gonna spend some time with each other, and I was just there, I was just in my head thinking about everything that just happened the whole time, and it's just like, first of all, it's sad that we got to even ask that question.
Facts.
And I don't know. Part of me wants to say that people will just be all talk. Like if he don't win, then they'll just be mad, just like they were with Obama when he won. They'll
And go
just
back
be
into
mad
their
and go back
shell.
into the little shell. Like
Yeah.
that's the best case scenario. First of all, the fact that that's the best case scenario
Is
is still
wild.
pretty bad. But it's
Yeah.
like that everybody that's racist and mad will just be quiet about it now. Like the fact that I'm fine with that based on what's happening is crazy. But
Yeah.
that's the hope. But to be honest, the things that he's saying and the rallying cries that he's giving and things like that, you just don't
You
know.
don't know.
And
Yeah.
just like you're saying,
Uncertainty.
that's why I feel like there's a big influx in people trying to figure out how they're going to protect themselves. And like the fact that people are saying like the next civil war or just like next world war, all the type of things that are happening, and the fact that it doesn't sound like it's a joke anymore, that could possibly, these things can possibly happen is just what's pretty wild. And this is funny. I was actually on a Zoom panel 2 days ago, and one of the ladies that's part of it, she's from Canada and she lives in Canada, and she's like, you usually over these last 4 years, when and I would say, oh yeah, and if you guys wanted to come up and live with me in Canada, feel free. It was always a joke, but now people are like legitimately taking her up on that offer, like, yo,
Yeah.
are you serious about it? Like the fact that people really do want to
Me
get
and
out of
my
this
me and
place
my
for
lady have
the
discussed
fear.
Canada for like months now, since the pandemic
Yeah.
hit. Yeah, we have. Yeah, so yeah, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy time we're living in. We're like literally writing the history book that our kids and grandchildren are gonna read. You
Yeah.
know, like if you remember, I fucking hated history class. If you remember in history class, if you do, I don't. But just like when they hand you the history book and they turn to chapter 10 and you're reading about the Civil War or whatever,
Yeah.
like this is gonna be fucking chapter 11. You feel me?
Yeah.
Isn't that
Yeah.
crazy?
It's really wild to think about.
That's
And it's
crazy.
one of those things, like, hopefully we're at a space right now that people were at when they were in the Civil War, the civil rights area, where there's going to be a corner that's turned, that things get better. As we can tell, things get better, but they're still in a really bad place. But
Mhm.
hopefully it's one of those things that things get better, and it's not like just a drop.
Facts.
And
Facts.
so like we are at a space right now where our generation really does have a lot riding on what's happening right now, and we're at an age group right now where we can really make a difference, whether that be through voting or whether what we're doing through a local community. And I think the biggest thing that I'll try to push for is that with whatever way things goes, I think we need to be prepared how to make sure that we come out of this better than what we were personally, so that we can share it with our community. So whether we come out with more knowledge, or we come out with a better, more financial literacy, or we come out with something that, whatever way this goes, that we don't continuously have to depend on people that don't care about us. And I think that's what the pandemic and everything that's happened taught me a lot, is that shouldn't be what we fall back on, is that our well-being and our ability to put food on the table for our family, or to have shelter, to even be able to protect our family, falls on what someone else that doesn't care about me decides to do.
Facts.
And so just trying to have as much, whether it be financial, mental, any type of freedom that we can, is really important.
Facts. Hey, mic drop. Mic drop.
Bars.
Yeah, facts, bars. Great way to end the episode, really. I do want to ask any quick advice to any entrepreneurs out there looking to start a business.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of touched on it a few times. It's just network. Like, try to talk to people that don't know or that you don't know something that they know. Like, that's the biggest thing, is learning what you don't know, learning what you're not good at is the best way to be successful. The quicker that I learned that I didn't know how to do X for a business, the quicker I was able to get X done. Because now I'm not trying to figure out, okay, what am I supposed to do? How about let me find someone else? And better yet, let me find another person of color that already does this in the right way, and support their business while they're supporting my
That's
business.
crazy.
So
We always talk
I
about,
think that's the biggest thing.
we always talk about on the podcast, find someone who hates doing what you're doing, but they love it.
Exactly.
and your process will be a lot quicker. So
Exactly. So yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, and it's something I do a lot. I always try to open up my line for people to be able to like brainstorm things. Trying to get into the world of entrepreneurship. I also design websites, do graphics, do different things like that too. I mean, so
for sure.
and if anybody listening to that episode ever needs some guidance, even just to chat, down to do it. If you need some actual like work done, we could talk about that too. But yeah.
Or if they need someone, you might know someone who can help them with something, someone, so network.
Yep.
For sure. We're going to wrap it up with the guided conclusion section. So this segment, I just ask one question, and it could be funny, anything, but I already have a question for you. It's pretty serious. Who is your number one supporter?
Who? That's a good one.
Yeah, I always try to like either go hella funny or hella serious.
Yeah. I'm gonna cheat and say it's three different answers. One, my parents. I can definitely say I was blessed to be in a situation where both my mother and my father has always supported what I wanted to do. And so I never felt like I was pressured to be someone who I wasn't. So that from day one is definitely it. My girlfriend is a huge supporter of everything that I do, which is great in the sense where if I'm doing something and it's about how to fail, I don't feel pressure to feel like that I'm about to fail in something, because I know that she got my back and she's gonna be there for me when I succeed. And when I fail, when I succeed, especially being an entrepreneur, that happens a lot. But when it comes down to it, I think the biggest and most important person is myself. It wasn't until I started to really support and believe in myself as much as my parents did, and more than that, that I felt like I actually started to feel that I was successful. And to be honest, I don't think that ever really came until probably about last year. I was always a person that was hard on myself. Definitely being in sports, I'm sure you know well too. You're always your biggest critic. You want to get better. You're pushing yourself, and a lot of times you don't think about the growth you've actually had. Last year, I actually had some space to be able to do that, and moving through life with that mindset now. Me being my biggest supporter is my number one goal. Nobody should support me more than I support me, and people will start to support you more when you're walking around with that confidence that you believe in what you do.
Facts. Well, I 100% agree, bro. Great knowledge, man. Another bar.
Trying.
Facts. Well, man, great episode, man. Great talk, for real.
Yeah, man,
I learned a lot about you. Yeah. You're a very intelligent guy, man. I hope the audience see that.
Thank you.
Go ahead and share your social medias and where people can reach you and stuff.
Oh yeah. You can hit me up. It's at MVP Foster 1. That's on Instagram. That's pretty much what I'm on the most, Instagram. You can hit me up on LinkedIn. That's Joshua A. Foster. If you go to my Instagram, I have a link tree, and it has my LinkedIn and all that type of stuff on it too. And then my website, joshuaafoster.com. And so you can check out some of the stuff I'm doing. You can hit me up if you want to reach out, talk business coaching, whether you want a website done, different things like that too. But yep, I'm always here to help and chat.
For sure, man. Well, Josh, I appreciate you for, I would say coming up here, but coming in the Zoom.
Hopefully soon.
Man, yeah, let me know when you're in the bed, bro. I'm here. Definitely. I'm always in LA too, because I do music and clothing. So obviously this year has been tough. Like I can't do shows out there, and the music, everything's just crazy. But
definitely same. Whenever you come down here, we can grab you. Well, you can get coffee, and I could drink my pre-workout.
Okay,
there we go.
That's funny. Well, great talking to you, man. This is the Misguided Podcast, where we intend to guide you to a better future. My name is Juwan, and we're sitting here with Josh, and I appreciate it, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes, sir.